So this will be the first video in the Unit 6 notes. So Unit 6 is all about transformations of shapes and figures. So what that means is we're taking a figure, we're going to move it either up, down, left, or right. We might make it bigger, we might make it smaller. So this first thing on these notes here is what are transformations? So transformations is the overall thing that we're talking about. And 6.1 specifically is about a translation, which is a type of transformation. So a transformation is the act of reflecting. So that's one of them. Rotating. Translating. Or dilating, which means making bigger or smaller. So in this section, in 6.1, we're going to be dealing with translating figures. So the starting figure in any of these is called the pre-image. And then the end figure after the transformations is called just the image. Okay, so what is a translation? A translation is a transformation that we could say it moves, or another thing I like to think of is it slides. So we kind of move the point or slide the point, and it's going to be all in the same direction and the same distance. So here are our rules for translations. So if we have a triangle with these vertices, 3, 2, -2, 4, and 1, -2, we want to graph the pre-image, and we're going to take this figure right here, and we want to move that 2 units right and 3 units down. So first we're going to start with just listing the coordinates of the pre-image. So we have 3, 2, -2, 4, and 1, -2. And so I'm going to graph that here to the right. These aren't marked on the graph, but just assume that each mark right here is 1. We're just going by ones here. So if I graph my first image, let's graph our first point of A. So we're going to go over to the right 3 and up 2. So this is A. Be sure to label them. Then we have B, so -2, up 4. And then C to the right 1, down 2. And then I'm going to connect these to make my triangle. Now we want to translate the figure 2 units to the right. When we are moving to the right or the left, it's going to change the X. So I'm going to write this up here at the top. If we are moving right or left, we are going to be changing the X value and our X and Y points. Now if we move up or down, we're going to change the Y value. If we go right, we would be adding something, left is subtracting something, up is adding something, down is subtracting something. So if we want to go 2 units to the right, we're going to add 2 to the x's. So I'm going to take each one of these x's and add 2 to it. So I'm going to have 3 plus 2, -2 plus 2, and 1 plus 2. And that's going to give me my new coordinates. So I will have 5, 0, and 3. Next we have 3 units down. So we're going to subtract 3 to each of the y's, or subtract 3 from each of the y's. So we'll have 2 minus 3, 4 minus 3, and -2 minus 3. So I'll have -1, 1, and -5. Now these are my new points for my graph. We call this prime. So we have A prime, B prime, and C prime. That's what that little dash means. So that's how we read that. Now we're going to graph our new one. So we're going to go over 5, down 1, over 0, up 1, and then over 3, down 5. Another way that you can do this is just go from each point. So let's say we start at A, and we could just take this point and shift it 2 units to the right, and then 3 units down, and see where we land. And it should be the same point, so you can get your image points either way. So I would always check your graph afterwards, just like I did there. Look if it makes sense. So if your graph is like all the way over here, you probably didn't move it 2 units right and 3 down. And make sure you label your points. All right, here's another example. So we have a quadrilateral, so that's going to have 4 points, which are listed there, and we want to shift it to the right 12 and down 5. So same thing with the rules up there. If we go right 12, we're going to add 12 to x. And if we go down 5, we're going to subtract 5 from y. So I want to take each of these. So we can start with a here. So if I have a prime, if my x is -1, I need to add 12 to that. I'm going to have 11. My y is 8. I want to take away 5 from that. Then I'm going to have 3. We're going to do the same thing with all of our other points. So B is going to now be 17, 3. C prime will be 14, 7. And D prime will be 11, -7. Because we are adding 12 to the x's and subtracting 5 from the y's. All right, here's some examples. So let's go on A. Translate 4 units right and 4 units down. Again, there's 2 ways you could do this. You could list out all of the points that you see for J, I, and A, and then add 4 to both the x's and the y's, or we can just start at one point and go 4 units right and then 4 units down, and then mark that new point and label it J prime. And then we can do that with all of our points. So we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have A prime. I'm just doing it for this one just to show you an example. You don't have to do all of these markings here. Oops. And then I prime, and then I'm going to connect my dots here. And then I have my new graph. So I'm going to erase these to make that a bit more clear. So you don't have to do that every time. That was just an example. I want you to try number B or letter B on your own, and I'm just going to sketch the answer. All right, so that is B. Another thing that you can do to check your answer on these is to see in my original figure, between X and Q, there's 2 spaces. that should remain the same even in my translated figure. Between X and Q is 2 spaces. And so the distance of all of your sides should remain the same when we're just moving it like left, right, up and down, or reflecting it. That distance shouldn't change. All right, let's go to example 3. So we want to graph the pre-image and the image. I'm going to start by graphing the image. So this is my pre-image, and now I want to graph the image. So if we're going left 2 and up 5, then I'm going to subtract 2 from my x's and add 5 to my y's. So if you want to write out each of these new ones, you can. So we would have an a prime of 5, 7. So you can write those all out. Or you can just, again, start from that point. So if I was starting at A, I'd want to go to the left 2, and I'd want to go up 5. You can do this either way. And I will connect those dots. All right, example 4, what are the coordinates of the image of the point C, which is -2, 1, using the translation above? So we have right 3 and down 2. So we want to know if this point right here is translated right 3 and down 2, what was my new one going to be? So C prime. So I'm going to go to the right 3. So -2 minus 3, -5. And then I have 1, and I want to go down 2 spaces. Oops. I don't know why that went away. So I'm going to have -1. Now B wants to know the pre-image, not the image. So we have A prime. We want to know what is A. So if A prime is 7, 3, this has been translated right 3 and down 2 already. So we want to do the opposite of that. So we're going to take 7 instead of adding 3, we're going to subtract 3, and we're going to take 3 instead of adding 2. Instead of subtracting 2, we're going to add 2. So A, the original one, would have been 4, 5. Okay, last example, 5. We have 2 of them here. And this time we just want to describe in words what happened from the image to the pre-image, or from the pre-image to the image. Remember, the image is the one that has the prime thing on the letters. It's also the one with dashed lines here. So I would just pick a point. So let's start with C here and see how did we get to C prime. So to me it looks like we went down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We went down 8, and you can check that with your other points and make sure that they're consistently the same. So we went down 8 here. This one over here looks like we have 2 different kinds of translations. So again, just pick a point. So it looks like we went 10 to the left, and now to get up there, I went up 2. So we went left 10, up 2. And that is all for these notes.